Well, hello there guys and girls. Today I'm going to do a very, a review on this Conquest S8 mobile phone here. Now, I've had this phone, as you can tell, for quite some time now. This is probably getting on for at least 6 months. Don't get me wrong, it's been an amazing phone. There's nothing particularly wrong with it, other than the fact that, it's got some things which is just to be expected with it being a Chinese phone, but I can tell you it's a tough phone. It does live up to its ruggedness. This has fell out my pockets multiple times while I've been sat up quite high, just sat on the forklift truck. We're doing some work on it maybe in my place of work, and it's dropped out of my pocket and landed onto the floor, which is, probably a good metre and a half off the floor, and it's survived quite well. One thing I've done with this phone is I have bought online some screen protectors, which I do get through quite a few of these, and they are the Gorilla Glass ones. You can see here I've got some chips in this, bit of chipping up here. The screen itself underneath is still immaculate. Literally with this all you do is you peel the old one off, chuck it in the recycle bin, and then put a new one on. And I normally put the new one on while it's got a bit of water on the screen, as it helps get rid of all the bubbles that appear underneath the screen. As you look at this, it's a bit of a grubby looking state, but there's no bubbles under the screen. You can see it's cracked in a few places, but that's just the screen protector. It's quite a nice phone, like I say. This is the phone that does have the walkie-talkie feature on it, so it will transmit, I can't remember the frequency range off by heart, but it's something like the about 415 megahertz, I think, and it will transmit all the way up to about 400. I think it's something like 460, I think. I'm not sure, it's probably a bit too high, but it's UHF. The only downside to that is it does skip out for some reason the 446 free band, which in the UK is the PMR 8 channel radio systems. Pretty much bang on 446 megahertz, which is a bit sad really, but for amateur radio use it works great. You can, to some extent, program repeater shifts in there. They don't work that great. I'm pretty sure I've done I have put repeater shifts in this, and I will actually show you a bit later on in the video. You do get a little screw-in aerial that screws into the top on this. If you are reviewing this, you'll know exactly what it is and what comes with it, I hope. But if you're looking to buy one of these, you do get a little aerial that screws into that. It's all waterproof, so you can leave the aerial screwed in and it will still be waterproof. However, just make sure you don't damage the aerial, as so far I've not managed to find a replacement. I'm pretty sure if I was to get in contact with a company that makes the phone, or a seller on probably Alibaba or AliExpress, maybe Banggood if these devices are on Banggood, I'm not sure. I bought this one from AliExpress. I'm pretty sure that you would they would get you a replacement aerial, but I actually managed to snap mine off, which was a bit of a shame. But although it's not the best thing in the world, where is my bag? I do like my everyday carry bags, so I've got a few little things that I like to keep on my bag, and one of them being one of those little wire keyrings where you unscrew it and screw it together again. Let me just get one of these off here, one of those things there. Now one of these things, I found it's the perfect thread at the bottom to actually screw into the aerial, and when it drops down to the bottom there, it's quite good. Obviously that'll give you a bit of a change in frequency as that's rattling around, but you could get around that by putting some heat shrink tubing over that and using it as your private aerial. It's actually tuned pretty good for UHF transmissions. It doesn't look like much, but it's actually tuned pretty well for that. I did put it on a what do you call it? Just a very, very simple SO259 female connector, which that just slots into the center pin, and I actually managed to get the RF. Was what was it? The reflection of it was pretty good for around about the mid range of the UHF band. But in all fairness, when you're only pushing 1 watt into it, it's not going to be that bad. That does screw into there quite well, and you can use it as a transmission aerial. Obviously it's not great because obviously, like I say, you need some kind of protection over there, because as you touch it, it changes the impedance of the aerial and all that and the other, and it makes the SWR, standing wave ratio, if you want to be thingy, it makes it a lot worse. But it works for the time being until I can source a proper aerial. Doesn't make the signal any better or any worse, but it makes it work. Yeah, as it goes, it's pretty damn good. Underneath the cover here, you've got dual SIM cards. I've only got one being used at the time. It's quite nice for that. You do have a SD card in there. At the moment, I've got a 32 gig in this, I do believe. It will take more. I've had a 64 gig in this one with no issues. It's a pretty nice phone for that. You know, it's Android based. Not much more to say about that. Pretty much if it's Android based, you know it's going to be pretty good. In terms of running, it runs smooth. It has no issues on the startup. Let me just unlock my phone here. I'm not going to show you my lock pattern at all, but I've just got it up on the time screen here. Let's go back out of that. You can see it runs quite smooth. I've got a couple of apps on this thing now. What will I just click on? I don't know. Go out of that. Oh yeah, I'll show you the built-in walkie-talkie app, which is quite nice. At the moment I've got this set up for, what's that, 192, that's short-range devices, frequencies, I do believe. I was checking the key fob on my remote control for my car to see if the damn thing was transmitting. It turned out it wasn't. You can, how do I set this again? You can click on up here, and you've got all different thingies. This one here is the local repeater, amateur radio repeater here. I am a licensed radio amateur, so I do have, you know, I can use this repeater. I have used it a few times on this phone. It works quite well. But again, at 1 watt, you go into a little bit crackly there. It works best if you're outside and high up, but for local transmissions, it's pretty good. I brought it as more of a novelty thing, and it ended up using, you know, turning into my main phone. So that can't be that bad. I will, however, say there are some issues with this device. One of them being the speaker. Now, this particular phone, I've already put into it 2 speakers. Now you can, thankfully, service this quite well. The speaker in it at the moment is actually on its way out, and the reason for that is because there's no protection underneath this this metal grid in here. Now, just looking up at my collection of magnets to see if I have my original speaker anywhere. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's not around anywhere. I have got a lot of replacement speakers, but they're inside the drawer down there, which is a bit, yeah, not good. It's they're buried. Basically, it's a standard speaker. I think it's a 2.5, 25mm speaker, I do believe. It's quite a large thing. It's a good disc shape, about the size of a 10p piece, I would say. It's about that big when you take the case off, and it just gets filled with iron filings, which is a pain in the backside. Because I work in a scrapyard, it does, you know, it does get filled with a few. It does get dropped a few times, and obviously on the floor it picks up iron filings. You can get around it a few times. I've done it before, where you get yourself something like a hard drive magnet, and believe it or not, this works quite well. You just put it over the speaker, move it around a bit, and so far I've not damaged my phone doing this. It's a lot of magnetic interference. You pull it up and sometimes you get some. There's a few bits on there, look, which have appeared from nowhere, and that sometimes makes the speaker work pretty good again. But you still get the let me just unlock this device. A second. Okay. Wait a minute. There you go, like that. And you still get you know, the noises it gives are still a bit crackly, which is a shame. If I lock the device now, you'll hear it. It'll make a pretty horrific sound. Quite you're probably not going to hear that very well because the speaker on the microphone on the camera is not that great, but yeah. You'll also notice I'm running it with a Lanyard. This is actually a Lanyard from a Sony Cybershot, I do believe, which is off my old mobile phone, I think. One of them come from out of the boxes of an old phone from somewhere. I like having lanyards on things, so yep, that stayed on. As far as waterproof goes, it's pretty good. I've had it in the bath a few times, but as you can see, you know, there's some issues here, and that is that it loses screws. You've got to keep going around this thing, making sure that all these screws are tight, because I've lost one there, and that one there on the case. I don't think I've lost any others. No, just those two. Again, you can probably get hold of these screws from somewhere, but, you know, I don't plan on dropping this thing into water anytime soon, so I'm not too fussed. What else is there to say about this phone? Nothing much really. It's got a SOS feature on there which I've not yet had a look at. You push it and it will come up. If you press and hold it, it will come up and say, you know, because I've not set it yet, it's like, you know, set this. Normally if you press it, it'll ring an emergency number, which you can set to one of your contacts, which is quite nice. A nice little feature. On the side you got your buttons. It's your camera control button. Press and hold that for your torch light as well, which is nice. The LED torch on it is not the brightest in the world, but it does a good job. Shine it on my desk. Yeah, have a guess where my laptop came from. There is check that YouTube channel out. He's a pretty good guy who is trying to put in an emergency number now. Look, so we'll just get rid of that, and turn my torch off. There you go, like that, nice and easy. One thing as well which I find quite interesting is when the torch is on and you try and use the camera, you can't use the camera. Say if you're, you know, taking a picture for Facebook, for instance, you would have your torch on. If you're looking around a dark place, you got your torch on your phone, and then you think, oh, I know, I'll just take a picture of that. You know, it's just enough light. It'll come up saying, oh, we can't do that because something's already using the camera. Ah, great, thank you for that. But I guess that's more software issue than hardware. Other than that, I do not use the port on the bottom at all, because it does come with a very nice, let me just unplug this, it does come with a very nice drop charger. 2 metal pins, positive and negative. Not sure which way around it is, but I guess it doesn't matter because you cannot put it in the wrong way around, and it just goes and sits in quite nicely. Sometimes you do have to wiggle it around, but other times it works. It does have a little annoying feature. You'll notice that these buttons here, not exactly a feature, but a little bug. You notice that the buttons stick out a little bit. Well, if you just knock it a bit, it will try and activate the camera, which is a bit of a pain. And also, as you can see, it's put the flashlight on. Turn the flashlight off. Yeah. And it also does the same for the SOS side as well. So it can be just a pain if you're trying to rock it around, get it in your charger, but in your bay. Say you're late at night and you want to get to bed, you just want to put your phone on the docking cradle and you go, and it blinds you then because your light comes on, it starts taking pictures. And also another thing as well, this button used to do, which I have disabled now, is if you press it and hold, it for a certain length of time, it would do a snap burst and keep 40 photos in a burst mode. Oh, that was annoying. I just ended up making so many photos of absolute nothing, pitch blackness or just blurriness. You can see there's a little bit of wear going on the buttons there. To be expected. I do use this phone quite heavily. So email. You can hear speaker on it sounds a bit naff. Like I say, it's about ready for changing again. It's become a serviceable item on the phone, which is a bit of a shame. Oh yeah, you do also get an infrared port on this thing, but it's absolutely useless. You have literally got to be on top of the TV, holding it right near the IR window for it to do any kind of work, for it to change. It's not that great. Inside the phone, when you're inside this particular phone, all the circuit boards are quite nicely laid out. Everything is removable, which is nice. If you want to change your camera module over, you can change that, that's fine. Speaking of the camera, it is horrific. Now, I think this gets sold as a 13 megapixel camera. Don't believe it, guys. Do not believe it. It is not 13 megapixel. When you take a photo of this, it comes out all blotchy and blurry. The only way to get a half decent photo out of this is to use HDR mode, and for that you do not get your flash, and you've got to hold it extremely still, otherwise you will get a blurry image. But if you just take a normal standard photo, it will come out quite, how can I say, like pixelated. But I kind of was expecting that with it being a Chinese phone, because they always do kind of lack on camera, the camera side of things. I haven't really got any plans on changing this phone at any time in the future. It's still running great, and I'll keep using it until it decides to break. But so far, so good with it. So that pretty much concludes my little review on this Conquest S8 mobile phone. It's good. I do recommend it to, say, if you were only going to use this on and off, and you wasn't too fussed about some of the annoying features it's got. One thing I did try was sticking sticky tape over the microphone, and then you can see it's a bit mucky in there. I actually glued some foam inside that, and that didn't work either. Really, it just muffled the sound. So you're kind of stuck with what you can do with it, to be fair. What it could have done with was, say, some kind of diaphragm system, but to keep it waterproof, it uses actually the diaphragm, the plastic diaphragm of the speaker itself as the waterproofing. So yeah, bit of a shame that. But say if you don't have any iron filings knocking around where you are, this thing should last quite a while. If not, if you're a bit clever, you can, like I say, just take the original speaker out, solder in 2 thin wires, solder a new speaker onto the 2 wires, and then just loop the wire around inside as you put the case back together again, and it goes together quite nice, as you can see. I've had this apart a few times now, and it's fine. Take this thing apart, it's nice and simple. You've only got to undo all the screws on the back. You don't have to take the door off, you can just literally undo all these screws around the edge, and the back will just literally rock off and come straight off. No problems at all. Nothing is connected to the back apart from the speaker, and if it's your first time undoing the speaker, it will just come away with the back of the phone. It'll have some glue around there which you just have to, peel off a bit with a sharp tool, say a small small very precise screwdriver maybe, which is I think what I used. That and a very thin Stanley blade, a crafting knife, a bit like a scalpel kind of thing. And I managed to just pop the speaker out, the old one out, and push a new one in. There's plenty of them on the internet. You can get them off eBay or wherever. And yeah, it it repaired very well. But like I say, with me working in a scrapyard, always dropping my phone on the floor, iron filings are always getting stuck in there, so you just have to keep going over with a magnet. But if you was actually using this phone for its intended purposes, it'll probably work quite well. The GPS system on this phone works quite well. When I first got it, it had a little bit of a software bug where no matter which way you pointed the phone or you was pointing, it always used to make your arrow key point in one way, but they released an update for it and it fixed that, which was quite nice. So the one you would get nowadays, it would fix. You do have a reset button on there. I've never had to use it yet. Now, this phone's never crashed yet, which is quite nice. It's never magically turned itself off yet, which is quite nice. After 6 months of me having a phone especially, that's pretty good. And yeah, I also use it as my alarm clock in the morning too, so it gets a lot of use. Not constant use, because I'm not always talking to people on the phone, I'm not always chatting to people on the phone, but it pretty much goes wherever I go, and it does get a good battering around, especially at work. When you're knocking your, because I always keep it in my pocket, but I always keep it in my pocket with my screen facing inwards, so my screen is always pointed in towards my thigh, so that if ever I bang it on the edge of something, it won't damage the screen. So far, so good. No damage yet, apart from, you know, the screen protector. That's to be expected. And they're very cheap to replace. They're something ridiculous, like I think it's like 4 or 5 quid for a pack of 5 protectors. So pretty good. They take a while to get here because they are from China, but yeah, that's why you just keep ordering them. Hopefully you don't work in a place that's so, how can I put it, thingy on technology like these little phones. I know the guys at work there, they're always going through phones, smashing screens and whatnot, but this one, so far, I've been lucky with. I've not damaged it yet. My old phone actually broke, which was a Sony Z1, I do believe. And I actually dropped that in a big car park of all places, and it landed screen down, which I'm pretty sure is endgame for most phones, because it did actually crack the digitalizer. And the digitalizer on that is actually stuck to the LCD screen itself, so it's kind of a game over. You know, I needed to replace not just the digitalizer, but the screen as well. And I ended up just selling the phone for spares. But anyway, that's another story. That concludes this video. So thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope to catch you on another video, whatever it may be. Yeah, that's it. Peace out. Thanks for watching.